Welcome to Brunch with REC, another edition.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning and welcome.
Nice to start a Saturday morning with you guys.
It's Brunch with REC. And I think we're going to need cutlery for this beast.
Yes, we are. Big shout out to our boy, Jordan Catering. We're going to end up putting up his links here. So if you guys are in the need of any catering services during the holiday season, you believe that, buddy? Holiday season's coming.
Holiday season's coming, man, and it's beautiful.
I'm your host, Jas Takhar, with another host here, Mr. Simeon Papailias. What's going on, Simeon?
REC Insiders, good morning from coast to coast. As always, please pipe in with where you're dialing in from. Nothing makes us happier than to see British Columbia up at this time in the morning on a Saturday.
Are you talking about someone specific?
I'm talking about all our beautiful British Columbia people. I'm talking about Deb Hicks, Donna Hoskins, Steph Pinero. Where do I start? Where do I finish?
Well, even before we get into that, buddy, thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that. Funny how our team knows us, eh? Simos? Like they give us a small little bottle of champagne to start the morning with a huge bottle of Tropicana OJ. Do you mind, buddy, just putting some OJ in mine as well?
I don't really know.
Why are we having champagne? Why are we having some, what do they call these, mimosas? Mimosas first thing in the morning on brunch. Yes, we will be careful. We won't have too much because you don't want to hear Jazz's slur, and we all need to drive home as well. A couple of reasons. Number one, first and foremost, we like to celebrate life. Period. That is by far the number one reason why we're having this. But the number two reason is because hopefully you guys checked your emails. Some of you are and some of you are not either getting our emails possibly or you just didn't open them up. Make sure, because we send an email every other week moving forward in 2022. That's exactly what our calendar and schedule will be for email. So if you're not getting emails, guys, just make sure that you send a quick email right now to info@reccanada.com and just make sure that you're getting, well,
Cheers to every REC Insider. Cheers to all of your success. And cheers to going into December with an amazing year behind us.
I like to think it's the best month of the year.
100%, because it's your birthday.
Thank you, Simos. Thank you. It's also our VP's birthday, and that's what was the number two reason. So it all kind of comes full circle.
Or maybe that's the number one reason.
No, that's definitely number two. Laura's like the number two reason for sure. And obviously it's the holiday season. However, she wrote an email talking about putting a brunch together at home. So let us know. Let us know if you actually read the email and you got the menu, so to speak, that Laura put together in that email. Big shout out to Laura. Big shout out to Bobby, Director of Team Operations, Shem Sharif, our client service coordinator, and obviously Tyler, who's been on vacation. I don't know if he's on right now. Knowing Ty, he probably has it on in the background. If you do, Ty, just shoot a message here in the comments so we know. But get your you know what back into the office on Monday. Hopefully you're enjoying it with everyone, guys. Today's agenda. It's going to be really laid back, hence why we have some champagne. But we get a lot of questions in our emails, in our DMs. And so today's going to be kind of a Q&A session, right?
And it's by design.
Yeah.
It's by design. We didn't want to go into... We've covered some heavy topics in the last 3 or 4 brunches. There was a marketplace about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot. And this Saturday is just... We'll talk some shop. We'll talk some real estate.
There's been some massive headlines, right? There has been some big headlines in the papers. And so we thought both Simos and I would give our kind of commentary on both of those. Okay. Number one's going to be the inclusionary zoning that's coming to the city of Toronto. Very important for end users, investors, everyone in the city, really, the developers, everyone, right? So we're going to be talking about the new zoning that's going to be taking place, I believe, in the start of next year, February, March-ish. It's going to be coming into effect. And then number two, there was a project that got canceled. It wasn't something that we were talking about again up north in Barrie. A lot of you reached out to us on our socials and our emails just asking, like, what the heck does this all mean for that specific project? We didn't work this project, but look, things happen. But also, like, what does it mean in the future if one of the projects that we invested with you guys at REC, what if one of those get canceled? So we're going to speak about that.
Well, and to that, as you know, the Globe and Mail reached out to our organization.
Yeah.
We did speak to the Globe 2 days ago and gave our commentary. So you can expect, if you are a subscriber, expect to see our version, our official version in the Globe.
When does that come up?
It's going to be over the next week or so. I was speaking to, it's actually Rachel Younglie. A big shout out to her. She's one of the best reporters that I've met, meaning that she never goes after hype. She goes with real stories. And obviously that's why she's at the Globe.
Yeah.
Not to say anything bad about other publications, but
yeah,
there are newspapers and magazines that chase hype.
As a 12-year-old, I used to deliver the Toronto Sun.
I mean, that's definitely one of them. They really like big fires.
I liked it a lot because it had a lot of pictures. I'm not talking about any specific pictures. I'm just saying it just had a lot of pictures. It was very colorful. That was the paper I used to deliver as a 12-year-old kid.
Anyway, even they're all decent, but I mean, Rachel does a great job. She did come after our opinion on that subject specifically. We gave it. So watch out for it. That's what we're going to be covering a lot of today.
And then
risk.
Yeah, and look, guys, a lot of you want to get on phone calls and try to schedule time. But if you're watching right now, live, get your questions in the comments. Stephen Rochester, aka Rochester, is controlling the ones and twos behind us. Stephen, pour yourself a drink as well. Can you join us as well, buddy?
Give me that glass.
Come on, buddy. And then you can actually do cheers with us in the screens, because I call you out all the time, and then I get messages. How does he look? Like, who is he? And who's this guy behind? Who is
Stephen Rochester with my mask?
So Stephen's gonna make sure that he brings up the questions. Ask your questions. Go like super high level about the market, about our personal strategies. Go into the micro of I have a deal right now. Stephen Rochester, cheers, Stephen, buddy. Thank you so much. There he is. There's a good-looking Mr. Stephen Rochester. And so go really low, like into the micro of a deal that you might be working right now, how to set up a JV, like take it all over the place, guys. Look, if we have the answers, I think we probably have the answers to most of your questions, but we're also the crew that if we don't have the answers, we're going to tell you up front. We're going to find them for you. Go.
Let me give you an example. Again, we picked on Dawn already, so I'll pick on her again.
We love you, Dawn.
2 weeks ago, she sent an email for review. It's a deal up in northern British Columbia. Mm-hmm. So what was it? What Jas is trying to have a big multi-family, right? 20 doors or whatever. Yes. The whole point is, this is what we do for a living. For me to review a multi-fam, if I have the data that I need to review it literally takes me 20 minutes at the highest level. So you're not taking up our time. We're not too busy or too cool. The reason we offer this service is because you can invest all over the world. But when you invest in Toronto, more than likely, you're going to be investing with us. We have everything to gain from helping everyone, but we also love what we do. And I don't think I need to say that more, because I do. I love looking at real estate and deals. And sometimes we look at deals and we actually participate in the same deals. So if you do believe you have a great deal, please shop it by us. A, we'll give you our 2 cents. B, can guide you to the right professionals in the market that the property is in, whether it's in Ontario, let's say, where we operate, or if it's in BC. We have teams deployed everywhere. We have pros everywhere that can help. And at the end of the day, if the deal makes enough sense, maybe we'll put in our couple cents in the deal too.
100%.
So that's on that.
And then one last piece in terms of the agenda. I'm running a quick contest right now, and we'll let you know about that at the end. It's just having some fun with our real estate investors. Gonna see, test the knowledge of some of our investors for this past year. I would love for you guys to kind of just join in, have some fun. You're not gonna win $10,000 or $100,000, but we're gonna randomly pick a couple of people. I think we said we'll randomly pick like 5 people to some gift cards here at the Shops at Don Mills, which is our headquarters. A lot of you have never been here to Shops at Don Mills. It's a beautiful.
It's a Cadillac Fairview property, so you can use it across any and all Cadillac Fairview properties.
Great point. I'm seeing people sign in. Again, get your Q&A, get your questions into the comments so we can make sure that we answer them. So why don't we just go right into it, buddy? Let's talk about the inclusionary zoning headline first, man. Like, what's going on here? What's your take on it? And then I'll give you my take.
So there's 2 things that are commonly confused. And if anybody remembers having Tim Hudak with us, he spoke a lot about phasing out exclusionary zoning in order to help keep affordability alive, in order to help keeping the dream of homeownership alive. What we're going to focus on today is inclusionary zoning, not to be confused with the other. You can always use the computer, go on Google and figure out exactly the differences, see the platforms. You can also go to making affordability. Sorry, what was that
website? I forget Tim Hudak's website. It'll come to us. We'll
get it. Stephen, if you can just pull up, go to OREA's website, the Ontario Real Estate Association. Let's put the link again because it's important.
I was going to say make affordability happen again or something, but then I think that was more of a Trump line. So, I didn't go there.
This is the exact opposite.
I didn't go there.
This is the one. And just bring it's the affordability campaign. And it's important to remind every single investor to lobby your MP to make a difference in the communities, because this creates a massive investment opportunity for us as investors, and it brings affordability to those who need it. What does that mean? So, you know what, I'll just cover exclusionary zoning quickly.
Yeah, let's go there.
So anywhere where there's transit, anywhere where there's high density. Right now, it takes 2, 3, 4 years for you to pick up a property, like a detached 1960s bungalow.
Yeah.
In order to make it a threeplex, you have to go to committee of adjustment. You have to jump through this hoop. How high? A little lower. Look at me in the eyes. No, a little down to the side.
Yeah. And
it's ridiculous. It is bureaucratic. It is cumbersome. And it doesn't allow the investor to A, make money, B, have a scalable business. Meaning that me as an investor, let's say I have $500,000 in the bank. I could have bought 2 properties close to each other, at the same time renovate them both to get economies of scale, put them through the process, and deliver to the market from 2 homes that cost $4,500 a month to rent. I could have created 6 units at $1,800, at $2,100. That is affordable in the city of Toronto today. So when we talk about creating home ownership, creating inventory, unless we look at creating infill, meaning changing what the neighborhood looks like, in stepping away from allowing the neighborhoods that are dense to have NIMBY. So if we have to go to committee of adjustment every time, and we have 6 neighbors saying, I want the neighborhood to stay the same that it's been since 1950. Well, Toronto is not 1950 Toronto anymore. You're bringing 100,000 people into the city every year, 200,000 to the GTA every year. How can you expect to have the city look the same? Shame on you.
Yeah.
The whole point is to make this environment inclusive, functional, like where everybody can get to work within 45 minutes, not 2.5 hours. They can take their kids to a daycare. They can live. And not everybody can afford $4,500, $6,000 a month in rent. They can do with a smaller space. And that's what doing away with exclusionary zoning and creating a streamlined process where if it is inside this pocket, meaning let's call it Bloor and Ossington, I don't know.
Yeah,
if it's in that pocket.
Yeah, I think they're saying under 500 meters around a major transit line.
It's within 500 meters of a transit line.
Yeah.
I don't need to go to committee of adjustment.
Yeah.
I have to follow these guidelines, which they can be as severe as you want them to be. I'm not talking about quality of construction. I'm talking about give me the framework where I can say, I'm going to buy this property. I'm going to pay X amount of dollars for it, but I'm going to end up with 3 units. And instead of $4,500 a month in revenue, I'm going to end up with $6,500 across 3 units.
Yeah.
And the investor is now functional, profitable, in a great position. The community gained 2 more doors than before. And now you have people paying $2,100 a month in rent.
Well, now with the new, call it law that's coming into place, developers now
we're going to inclusionary.
So I really want to speak about.
So just to wrap that,
I
hope everybody got like the 1-2 of what that legislation is all about.
And if you didn't, don't be shy. Just put your question. Just put your question in the comments to get more clarification. That's what we're here for.
And maybe we'll send the link again. So Stephen will find it. It is making affordability great again, or whatever the case may be. We're going to put it
again. That's the exclusionary aspect.
Yes.
So let's talk about what's coming up right now, which is the inclusionary zoning that's coming into effect next year, and that is going to have developers needing to put about approximately 5 to 10% of any given building that they're building. They need to have low income housing in those condos.
Yes.
Okay. So if you look at a 300 unit building, 15 to about 30 units have to be put aside for low income housing. Okay. Now, that aspect of it, I personally like. Like, I do like that.
Correct.
However, where I think the city missed the mark is that they didn't give any incentive to the developer, because it's also above 199 units. So only they only have to put aside 5 to 10% of the units for low income housing when they're building above 199 units. When they do it below 100, when they're building a building under 199 units, they don't have to put aside any units. Well, guess what's going to start to happen? Developers are not going to want to build some of the buildings that have 300, 400, 600. I mean, we come across buildings that are 500, 600 units sometimes.
1,000 units in Yorkville, 33 Yorkville.
Okay. Well, then what's that going to do to the supply side? You're not going to have as much supply. Now, what's going to happen to values? We know basic economics, supply and demand, right? You're going to have less supply. You still have the demand. We know that the demand's here. Values go up. But when values go up, guess what also goes up? Rents. Rents also go up. And so from my perspective, in my opinion, I actually think that the city still is missing the mark. It's still a Band-Aid, something we've been saying for 17 years, that we've always seen when there's any type of government intervention, they're generally just Band-Aids that are put into place.
So the framework is not complete. So I was listening to a podcast. Not a podcast. It was News Talk 1010. And it was a conversation surrounding inclusionary zoning. And it was the city councilor that is putting together right now the framework as to what that looks like from the tenant perspective or the buyer perspective. So let's say 10% of the building, 30 suites out of a building of 300 is going to be affordable housing. Let's say the average condo in the building is 500. This is going to be $220,000. Yeah. Whatever that.
Let's just call it half.
Call it 250.
I don't think it's going to be half, but let's just call it half.
Call it 250 for fun. What rights? So life happens. So somebody who is living in an affordable home today doesn't mean they're going to be living in an affordable home in 5 years. Somebody who lives in an affordable home today comes from a variety of different paths. They grew up hard knock. They just moved to Canada. All the myriads of reasons of why somebody needs affordable housing. Okay. But they got their bachelor's. They put themselves through school. They did what they did. We're not talking about deadbeat people. We're talking about people that need affordable housing. Citizens, our brothers and sisters on the street. We're not talking about bad people. We're talking about people that are in a bind. So people who are in a bind typically come out of a bind because they're good people and they work hard. So in 5 years' time, when I finish school and I got a job at $80,000 a year, is somebody checking my income? Do I still deserve to be taking up a spot in affordable housing because I deserve it and it's my legacy and I can live a young and egg for $250 where somebody else is dying to get in? So the framework is not complete. There is no such thing as a perfect
and it's not just
policy.
on the buying side either, Simos. It's on the tenant side.
It's the same thing.
Like the
They were
renter,
saying subleases.
exactly.
So are you going to just stay on that lease because you got it once in a lottery and now you're going to profit off somebody else's pain for the rest of your days? And the answer is that's the framework that's still anticipated to be seen.
Yeah, see, I think
so. There's a lot to it.
If the city just added some type of incentive for the developers, bring down one of their costs, and
or add density.
Yeah,
or add density.
Yes.
Don't touch
more space.
So if I had 350 units and I got to add 30, don't touch my 350.
Exactly. Let me go to 380.
That's right.
Okay. And on the flip side, if they don't allow them to go to the 380 because for some reason you can't add that extra density for whatever reason, right? Whatever reason. I mean, maybe it's just the homes in that area because. When a building gets built, the developers have to take into consideration just how much are you impeding on someone's privacy? How much are you impeding on their backyard? The light that comes into their house, all that stuff, right? Important stuff.
A tree's leaf drip line. The way rain falls and what happens to the water matters.
Yeah. Now, I want to make sure that everyone understands we're not developers. Like we do do some development, but that's not our bread and butter.
No.
So this is not like a pro-development conversation by
Not at
any
all.
means. This is about bringing in more inventory, because we know if you can bring in more supply, that's the best way to fix.
This is a pro-housing.
Yes.
This is a pro-housing discussion.
So where I was going with this was at least if the city brought down some of the development charges, right? I mean, for each unit that the developer builds, I mean, they're paying in excess of $50,000, $75,000, $80,000 as a development charge to the city. What happens is all that gets passed down, not the full 75 or 80,000 to the end user, to the purchaser, but some of it does.
A great majority.
So at least if you bring down something on that side, like on the side of some of the costs that the developers have to incur, I think then we could start this process of bringing more supply to the city.
And this is why I love Jas, because he's an eternal optimist. So not only did they not reduce development charges, they've quadrupled them in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
They've now introduced Section 37.
Yeah.
So any of you who have bought a condo in the last year and a half have a brand new Section 37.
Hey, it's not only Section 37, it's Section 37A to X.
A to X, which includes parkland levies,
Yeah.
which includes
Art levies. Luckily, anybody who's bought with us, we got them all capped.
That's
free.
right. That's that
And
right.
so if you are not buying it with us, and which is no problem with us, we hope you do business with us. But if you're not, make sure that you're not only capping the development charges, but you're also capping the Section 37, and then majority of the costs are in Section 37C to be exact. And that's where you're going to see, as Simos mentioned, the park levies, the art levies, and all that kind of stuff. So if you have any questions about what's going on in the market, as well as this inclusionary zoning that we just spoke about, throw it in the comments, and we'll make sure that we get them answered. Why don't we move to the next major headline? Like, unless you want to add something to the zoning conversation.
I think we covered it really well. I think people need to know what's happening in the city. We do have, let's call it, for example, the regentrification of Regent Park.
Okay. So we're still on the zoning. I just want to make sure. Okay, go. Continue.
So for everybody to understand the gravity of the situation, why it is important, and why we are proponents of affordable housing, it has to happen because we have to respect our fellow man and woman, period. We cannot have people suffering in an organized society where people are thriving and people are starving at the same time.
And, I mean, that's at the
highest level.
The highest level. And I was going to say that that's so basic.
But if we don't do something about it, we're finished.
But I also think that people are going to start to wanting to leave our city.
That's right.
That's
it's
the
not
next
a
level.
livable city.
It's just not a livable city anymore, right? And imagine Toronto not being Toronto. Like, I know what happened in COVID, and especially in that first
So let's use a
people left downtown. But speak about Regent Park.
Regent Park.
Yeah.
If anybody, so I moved to Toronto in the year 2000, and I lived in East York.
Yeah.
Regent Park was 10 minutes from my house. Like entry into downtown. Come down Bayview Extension, get off at River, you're there.
Yeah.
To go downtown. And I was literally, as a 20-year-old man, I was literally nervous driving through.
Let's not get it twisted. You were not a man at 20. Okay.
A boy.
I do love you. I was
a young boy.
I do love you. Yeah.
But I remember vividly
Yeah.
being nervous driving through. I'm not going to say I was scared. There was nothing to be scared of.
Yeah.
But it's nerve-wracking because you're seeing people, mental illness, addiction, poverty, all the things were extremely visible. It wasn't hidden. It was an area of the city that it was out in the open. And it's not nice. It's not nice to have people with these issues living all in the same place. It's actually the most counterproductive thing you can do.
Yeah.
If you put one bad man with another bad man together, you have two bad men together.
Yeah.
You have one mentally ill person not getting the help they need, and you put another person that needs mental help not getting what they need together.
Well, show me who you hang out with, and I'll show you your future, right?
So,
like, just show me your 5 people that you hang out with the most, and I'll show you your future.
So now, the point that was done there, and I would love to hear feedback of anybody who has actually done research and knows, because I don't. I do have an idea, but I don't have hard data, is what they did there is they dispersed, meaning that building by building, they would take these 20, because this used to be all old school box apartments.
Yeah.
meaning 5 floors, 4 floors.
Everyone's seen them, those brown buildings.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're not 50 stories.
No.
They were like 5 to 7.
Let's call them 30 units.
Yeah.
30 units of building.
Yeah.
So one by one, they would take these 30 families and redisperse them amongst Toronto community housing across the city. Meaning that you're going to go to Scarborough, you're going to go downtown on the west side, downtown on the east side, on the north side, etc. So they were dispersed inside the Toronto community housing complexes.
And that happened exactly 10 years ago. So this inclusionary zoning that we've been speaking about, that it's 5 to 10%, it's probably going to end up falling around 5% from what I've heard. 10 years ago, it was already in every single building that's been built in the last 10 years, 1% of it has to be put aside for low-income housing. Like already we were there, they just increased it. Sorry.
Yes. No, not sorry at all. So the conversation here is what they did to Regent Park, and then they rebuilt Regent Park. If you drive by now and you haven't been in a bit, you actually won't even know where you are.
I think there's 2 buildings left. That's it.
So literally,
I think there's only
I was
2.
driving once and I was listening to the radio. I was talking on the phone. I can't remember what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I was driving through and I was looking to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And I thought I was lost. I'm like, whoa, like hold the phone. Like, where am I?
Yeah.
I didn't recognize it when I passed on Queen Street East.
Yeah, Queen and River is right there, right?
So I literally didn't know where I was.
Yeah.
And you're looking at a mecca of revamped, new, young, modern, inclusive housing.
Yeah.
So I love what happened in Regent Park. So if somebody does have data where things did not work the way that my idealistic brain is interpreting it, I would love to hear from you, because that's what. So when you say inclusionary zoning, that means every building has to have some.
Yeah.
Every building has to have some.
Yeah, and we already did, right? Back to what I was saying, that we were already at 1%, right? Now, I mean, there's going to be obviously more if we increase it to the 5 to 10. However, I loved the fact that not only Regent Park got redeveloped, but you also had these people move back into society where they have others to look up to. You know, if you're in the elevator and you see someone who is just running around always, they're always busy, but yet you just strike up a conversation with them.
Opportunity arises.
Exactly right. I mean, that's exactly how we built our business, just with opportunity like that. It actually also happened in Jane and Finch, just not to the level of what happened at Regent Park. I mean, they were already moving people from Jane and Finch in and around other parts of the GTA, mostly. What I think they did wrong there when they did that whole with Jane and Finch, they took people from Jane and Finch and put them into a specific area in Brampton, on the further, like the most western part of Brampton. But all you did is just take people from one side and like one place and move them to the other place, right? They didn't do that disbursement that happened from a Regent Park perspective, right? Let's go to this condo cancel project, okay? So in the headlines, specifically the article that came through CBC News, there was a project that got canceled in Barrie. It was for townhomes that purchasers bought back in 2018. On average, purchasers bought these townhomes for about $500,000. And the builder of that project,
Pace Developments.
Was it Pace, yeah. Pace Developments in Barrie sent a notice to all purchasers that they have a choice. They have a choice to either have their purchase price increased by $100,000 on average, so from $500,000 to $600,000. So the new purchaser would need to come up with an extra $100,000, not cash. I mean, it could come through the mortgage as well. You're just going to do an amendment and change the purchase price so then that the lender would lend against that, and we'll tell you why all lenders would lend against it in a second. Or the second choice is that you can have your deposit back in full minus, I think, like 1% or something, less than 1%. And the deal will be null and void. Yes. Okay. And so the headline that came out obviously was the fact that the building possibly was going to get canceled, but that's not the truth. The builder's still moving forward with the project. Right. Okay. However, the purchasers have to come up with either the extra $100,000 or have the deal null and void. My thoughts on it, and then Simeon, obviously, please add yours, brothers. Big shout out to Virgilio. We obviously didn't do well, Virgilio, on American Thanksgiving. I say we as the Dallas Cowboys, but that's a different topic for a different day. Now, yes, my thoughts on this. purchasers bought these on average at $500,000. Okay, so what I did and what we did, and actually Luke was helping me do this as well here at the office, is seeing what are these values at now for these townhomes. They're a little over $840,000. Okay, so that we saw an increase of $340,000 on average
From 2018 to 2021.
From 2018 to 2021, we actually took that person's townhome. Okay, because I think hers was an average. It was a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom townhome, and right now they're selling for.
When you're saying hers, it was the woman that was featured on the article.
Featured on the article. I apologize. Yes, it was about $840,000. When I said that the lender would lend against it, I mean the lender's going to look at the new. When they go get it appraised, they're going to say, "Yeah, no problem. We'll lend against the extra $100,000. So your new $600,000 purchase price, no problem. We'll give you the extra $100,000 on it." Now, what the article was talking about was the fact that the lady was most likely going to take her second option and take the deposit back and look for another home. The problem that I see with that is that if she's looking in that same area for something that's comparable, it's going to cost her $240,000 more, because she could keep this one at $600,000, or if she looks around, she's going to have to pay $840,000. Now, the fact that the notice came from the developer that they had to pay the extra $100,000, that sucks. Period. All day long. Like, who wants to hear that? Nobody wants to pay more for anything.
Well, because you had a deal.
Okay, you had a deal. Exactly. However, the fact, like, if all the purchasers do cancel, the builder might not be able to build this because of the sheer cost of material, the sheer cost of construction costs, right? So in my opinion, I would still, if I was the purchaser and I was going to live there and that was going to be my income property, I'm paying the extra $100,000 because I'm still left with $240,000 worth of equity. So that's my thought on that. I also quickly want to just add, though, because a lot of people saying it's not fair. It's not. I totally agree, but it is legal, because in the agreement of purchase and sale, the builder is allowed to cancel the project, or even change the price, as long as they give you the option of getting your deposit back. Simos, what's your thoughts on this, buddy?
Yeah. So again, like, my thoughts always, I always have two very distinct views. And in this case, we said, yeah, she should take it because she's made so much money.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, maybe she can't afford it.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. So it's not a matter of would the bank give her the extra 100. Well, she just can't afford it. That's not her cup of tea. So she shouldn't have to be forced down her throat. So I understand that.
Yeah.
That's where you said it's not fair. I got it. The problem is this. She bought in 2018, and this is a townhouse. Townhouses don't have a 4-year development schedule. They have a 2-year development schedule. 2018, for whatever reason, and I know nothing about Pace, so I'm not going to comment to their development team or to their. I just don't know them.
I'm going to say 100%. I don't think we've worked with them, right?
1,000,000% we haven't.
We've never worked with them.
But we haven't worked with hundreds of developers.
Yeah.
I don't know their background story, so I'm not going to comment to them. But I can comment very much at this point to what the industry, the development and building industry, has endured in the last 3 years, inclusive of the pandemic. So if they sold these in 2018, they were going to go to market more in the ground more than likely in 19. Even if they had a 6-month delay and COVID happened. So if they were messing with that winter of 19, the spring of 2020, that's when the world changed. What changed? The supply chain changed. The labor force changed. The ability to stick to a time schedule changed. Because you couldn't go use a washroom in a gas station. You couldn't go to work. You couldn't go to the playground. There was restrictions that took place that froze the market, that impacted the market. And the ripple effect of the pandemic and all the things that came with it are going to be part of our fabric for the next decade, as far as I'm concerned. I know as a fact that it's going to impact us for a decade at the very least. Now, when this developer, or any developer, I don't need to speak to this one specifically, because he actually gave options. He could have outright canceled. Now, where this goes wrong is the process itself is me and Jas are going to buy this piece of land right here. We're going to take it through zoning changes. We're going to get draft plan approval, which then enables us to go for site plan approval. Site plan approval is when you put your townhouse site, here's my 80 townhouses that I'll be building, to the city of Barrie or to any municipality. This is what the road looks like. This is what the services come in look like, all the things that take 5 years to do. Great. Big rubber stamp, approved. The minute that site plan is approved, they don't have to wait. As all of us know, this is where we buy pre-construction. The minute the site plan is approved, if they sell without a site plan, they're in the danger zone, because that's what we saw back in between 16 and 18. Mm-hmm. Pre-sales used to happen without site plans, and then we saw that 20 cancellations in 1 year.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that again because builders aren't dumb anymore. They learned their lessons.
And as well as the government, I think what they added was a very big positive for purchasers, is that on the first page of the agreement of purchase and sale, in fact, sorry, it wasn't in the agreement of purchase and sale. It was the cover letter to the agreement of purchase and sale. Everyone needed to be aware if this has been site plan approved or not. It had to be checked off. That was part of Tarion. I think that was great.
Yes.
A great way to protect purchasers, because now it's not hidden. Excuse me?
At least educate them.
Exactly. And now it's not like buried in the agreement somewhere on page 69.
It was literally on the first page of Tarion, which was buried 2/3 into the agreement.
And it was in bold. Right? And this was on the cover letter. It still is till this day. Cover letter, first box has to be checked off. Yes. And we would get agreements and we would speak with developers and they're like, yeah, we're in the process. We're getting it next week. We're like, can we just see the first page, please? And if it wasn't checked off, we'll talk to you next week.
That's right.
We'll talk to you next week.
Call us when you're ready.
100%. Go.
So with that being said, so you're ready for a site plan. Now, if you sold, so you have your pro forma as a developer, typically they're seeking 15 to 22% profit, like any other business. Like any one of us, not because they're a developer, because the play is bigger, they deserve less, because I hate that. They take risk. They're creating housing. I love developers. I don't like greedy developers. I don't like bad developers. Yeah. But I respect them very much.
It's a business. It's not a nonprofit organization.
Correct.
Let a nonprofit organization be that, and this is not. So yeah.
So if you want to talk about your tax dollars, talk about your tax dollars. Yeah. But don't talk about somebody else's profit.
I agree.
So he built his pro forma. He sold these homes at $500,000 a pop. If he got froze due to no fault of their own, meaning that there is a huge section of this. If these things happen, he still had to carry the interest.
Yep.
He still had to carry all the things.
The cost on the land.
But this is when you're carrying a project, and now the cost of construction has gone up by 20% in material, another 20% up in cost of the employees, of the actual labor force.
Yep.
And this is real. You can go online to see the average cost of construction. Mm-hmm. You can find these things and build. Mm-hmm. BILD.
Yeah.
So that's the organization that governs Ontario builders. So, and these are factual numbers, 17 to 22% across the board.
Mm-hmm.
How is it possible that he can deliver the project without going bankrupt? But that doesn't get coverage.
Yeah.
What gets coverage is because if you see the price, it went from 500 to 600.
Yeah.
So the guy's not looking to steal the equity made.
Nope.
The guy's looking to be able to still deliver the profit to his home.
That's a great point, buddy, because if he was trying to steal some of the equity, he would say, look, it's 100% canceled, or said you have to give me an extra $200,000.
Sure.
Now he's really trying to take part of some of the equity that got built. I want to touch on. There's a bunch of questions that came in, Stephen. Why don't you bring them in as well, buddy?
You call it too, and I'll bring it up.
Okay, perfect. So there's a question here. Let's try to go in order. What is the definition? It's Dave 2 Math. Hang on. What do I see here? What is the definition of low income housing? How much rent per month? We're actually just finding out the details on exactly the income that is needed. The government's going to be coming out with that, I believe, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, Dave, in terms of for the inclusionary zoning, going back to that first topic we discussed. That framework in terms of what's going to be that number. I believe if you earn less than $45,000, then you can be part of this program. But don't quote us on that yet. Give us another 2-3 weeks. We'll make sure we send out an email. Now, we also had Dave 2 Math again. Big shout out to you, buddy. What is the legal position of the purchasers? The builder usually doesn't have the option of increasing the price or returning deposits without penalty. True? Question mark. What is the legal position of the purchasers? The legal position of the purchasers is they don't really. I mean, these contracts are all favored in
Yes.
the bill. It's all written in the builder's favor, Dave. So essentially, they could cancel. Period. The builder can cancel. They do need to give you the deposit back. They don't need to give you any type of interest on that deposit, but most do. Though.
So first and foremost, nobody can take your deposit because the developer doesn't have your deposit.
The deposit sits with.
The deposit sits with a third party lawyer who represents them in trust.
And
in trust.
Exactly, which is with the five major, there's only five major law firms that Ontario.
Could there be 500? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When your funds are in trust, if you go to your banking institution, you want to open a trust account, you can't open one.
Yeah.
There's qualifications, there's process. Who can touch it, how they touch it, etc. Your deposits, when it comes to an actual condominium purchase, are not with the developer. They are held in trust. The way the developer uses those funds is done by borrowing against a bond on those deposits. So let's say $5 million in deposits comes in. The developer can say, I would like to borrow against a said deposit. There's a bond that goes on that money, an insurance policy that goes against that money. So in the case he does have to cancel for any reason whatsoever, the funds are dispersed without penalty back to you. No interest either.
Now, most developers will give some type of interest, and that's only because that they don't want to be in the headlines, right? So the ones that we've seen in the past, they have, if and when they've actually canceled the project, they'll give back some type of interest. And look, you might hear, oh, they only gave 8% interest on my deposit. But if your deposit was only held for a year or 2 years and it's 8% year over year, it's obviously not as good as the appreciation that you would have seen if you got to close on the project.
8% is about 8 times more than you would have got with your money
in the bank, right? And if you do like a mortgage investment, you're going to get 10 to 12%, right? So you're kind of in and around there. Next question, Stephen. I think I saw something from a friend of the REC's, Armin. He asked about something. Is there a norm or something? What was the question? I'm just waiting for it to pop up on my screen. I apologize. Don't you think it will become a norm? I have a feeling he's talking about condo projects getting canceled. I mean, my take on that is no, because if you, out of 1,000 projects, I like to look at scale, right? So if you have 1,000 projects in the last, I don't know, 5 years for giggles, you're probably looking at about maybe 20 projects. And that's on the high end. If you look at it, Simos, if you look at 1,000 high rises that got developed, I don't think you're seeing more than 20 cancellations. Could this be the norm? Yes, which actually is a great segue with what I had in my mind and to talk about, which was, how do you protect yourself? How do you protect yourself? You fully can't, because we know the way that the contracts are written. But I think the number one way to protect yourself is only with super duper reputable builders.
Yes.
Period. Because if you look at those 20, 25 cancellations, maybe 100 in the lifetime, don't quote me on that number, but let's just call it 100 that I got canceled, I can tell you 99% of the time, it was with builders that maybe it was their second time at the rodeo. Majority of them, it was their first time at the rodeo. But if you look at,
and that's just it.
And if you, so that is by far the best way to protect yourself as a purchaser and or investor, is to just buy with somebody who's reputable. Now, how do you find that out as Joe Public or Mary Public? Well, I think the number one way to do that is Google. Start there because it's easy. Simos referenced the computer, the Google. Start there just to kind of, if you're looking at a project, put in the name of the builder, see what starts to come up. And then number two, look, just shoot the email to us. Send us info@reccanada.com. If someone said Pace Developments to us, first thing we're going to say is, I haven't heard of them. Because I personally
Let me do my research.
Haven't heard of them. Slight red flag. There's these new memes on TikTok and Instagram now. It's like, what are those students like? Red flags. Red flags. We're gonna do one. We're gonna do one. And it's like, what are the red flags when purchasing? And then you see all these like memes.
They're actual ringtones.
Yeah, they're actually ringtones.
You have
it. And so red flag, I can tell you, we've been doing this for 17 years. We're coming up to 2 decades. And it's not that we we're not the end all be all, but around us, we know enough people to just make a quick phone call and say, what's up with this what's up with this specific developer? And look, this happened with Pace Develop. I don't even know that maybe they've done 57 projects for all I know. I know that, after we did do some research on them because we did a lot of videos on that article, we did find out that they have a lot being built. And they had about 3 to 4 projects that they closed on. But I noticed a pattern. They closed on with the name eludes me, with a massive Empire. Empire Communities was backing them. Well, that's a great green flag, I guess you would call it. I mean, that's a great check mark to them because they're working with Empire Communities, who happens to be one of the top 10 developers in our country. The big boys. They're the big boys and girls in the development community. So, number 1, you check Google. Number 2, reach out to us. Number 3, reach out to some other real estate agents that are in the development game, the pre-construction game. Just reach out, ask a lot of questions, because that, in my opinion, is going to be the best way that you protect yourselves, right? Because if you look at a project, which I think we don't even reference it often enough because we forget it. 2000 and early 2018, okay, project at Bloor and Parliament. 2018 sold for average price per square foot, $650 price per square foot. Yes. And it was right at the corner of Bloor and Parliament. And easily that project, we thought, this is really to Armin as well, coming full circle to your question, brother, that would probably be canceled. Why? Because it's costing $550 price per square, like a square foot to build these condos. But, hang on. Okay. Right? Just to put this into perspective, that corner right now, that unit, that building, and a lot of our insiders got in, so congratulations to you. On the low end is selling for $1,200 price per square foot. It's almost doubled in 4 years. Okay, call it 2022. In 4 years, it's almost doubled, not in purchase price, like in average price per square foot. Why didn't it get canceled? Because the builder was tried out, which is 1 or 1A, okay, in development. Some would say 1, I'll call it 1A, like, you know what I mean? Like they're the epitome of reputation.
Well, other than Mattamy Homes, which is the largest builder in North America.
Yeah.
So I don't know a bigger developer
than tried out. Okay, been at it since day one. Now,
they don't have a draw.
And so they could have canceled. Why didn't they? Their reputation. They did not want to be known for somebody who canceled projects, and they went through it. Now, did their performa look as good as it was looking back in 2018?
Probably not.
No. They maybe lose some money? Probably not. Okay, because they're smart and they have just economies of scale, right? Like their lumber's costing slightly less than everybody else's, right? And so, however, they didn't make as much as they originally were going to make, and they're in the business of making money, but they stuck to their guns and they said, you know what, we're going to go through with this project, and I think it's closing in the next month or so.
Same with the Menkeys of the world.
Oh yeah.
Same with the Center Courts of the world.
Yeah.
Same with Marlin Springs of the world. The people that we work with, and we have experienced the bitter pill. Mm-hmm. We did work with a developer in the very beginning of their journey, and they did make mistakes. Meaning that we didn't have a hard cancel, but we had a soft cancel where they did give back money with interest. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, our buyers lost 1.5 years of time. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, we've never done it again. Meaning that any developer that comes to us, come back to us on your second project.
100%.
I am so sorry.
Yeah.
And it's not because we don't believe in them.
Yeah.
It's not because their project doesn't make sense. It's because the weight on our shoulders in this room, when we tell an audience of 50, 100, 1,000 people to trust the process, the weight is too heavy, the load is too big to go back to 1,000 people and say, you know what, we took a chance on them. The answer is we're no longer in the position to be able to afford to take a chance on people.
So true.
And we're in a place where unless you have a proven track record, unless I know the principals are so well capitalized that a pandemic can't throw you off,
yeah,
I'm not investing in it.
Yeah, and that's a great point as well, Simos, because look, you might have a builder that comes up to our table here, and we talk about it all the time. We get about 50 to 60 new condo projects, townhome projects, single-family home projects at this table, okay? And then myself, Simos, Laura, we all kind of sift through them and say, okay, what's going to be the 6 to 8 this year, right? Do we always know it at the start of the year?
Now.
No, I mean, I was going to say, like, we know our next 2, possibly, because we're still waiting for all these incentives.
Sure. We're also waiting for their carry-ons.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the first thing that we look at, guys, is location. Okay. So, like, where are these things? Do we actually believe in the location that we are going to be talking about with our clients? And then number 2 on that list, right after location, is the builder. Then number 3 is all the incentives that we need in place. And you guys have heard us talk about this 1,000 times, but it's the number 2 that we're obviously speaking about now, which is the builder's reputation. When we're looking at the builder's reputation, we've seen at our table, okay, this is their first building that they're going to do. Okay, but who are they financed by? Who's backing them financially? Like, is it, for example, a Graybrook? Okay. Peter,
well,
Sasha,
that's
can we get on a call?
If it is, that's good news.
That's good news. You know what I mean? Like, Peter, Sasha, can we get on a call? Can you tell us a little bit more about this developer? Where's the money coming from? Like, literally, we want to know how much money do they have in their account?
Well, because ultimately it's us.
Can they weather the storm?
That's right.
Can they weather the storm, right?
But it's my money and your money when we buy a unit that makes the project happen.
Yeah.
So it's not like somebody's above you or below you. We count on their due diligence for us to make a decision. And if we don't profit, again, just like the developer, if you don't profit, what was the point of doing it?
Exactly.
Okay. So look in the mirror. You carry the same risk they do.
Yeah. And I mean, those 6 to 8 projects that we choose, either myself, yourself, or 98% of the time it's you and I together, or someone in our organization is investing into it. It's either going to be a Laura, it's going to be a Tyler, it's going to be a Bobby, someone in one of our 54 agents. Why do we do that? Because we want you to know that we're just not selling everything.
Sure.
There's a massive reason why we only do 6 to 8 projects, because we don't believe in all these 50, 60 that come to our table. And so we're really looking at who are they backed financially with, right? Like, for example, RioCan, right? This was RioCan's first residential property that they just did, I believe.
It wasn't their first. It was second phase of Verge.
Yeah.
They had done 2 more prior to.
They do. Okay.
But this is the beginning of RioCan, which is massive.
Well, I want to talk about that. If you look at RioCan at the start, on the surface level, it's like, ugh, they've only done 2 residential deals. But if you just stop the conversation there, we have a problem. Because RioCan is by far the biggest commercial, industrial, rental apartment developer in the country, hands down. There's no one bigger than them. So you can count on the fact that they're self-financed. Like, even if they don't need the money.
They will lose $300 million before they would put the reputation at risk.
Oh, well, 100%, because that's just a loss leader for them, right? Like, they might even want the loss sometimes. Like, they will develop. And that is what, for us, determines if you should move forward with the project.
Big shout out to Eric Kuzian and the entire team at Austin Birch for giving our investors access. Tanaz and the whole team for giving us the amazing access that so many of you enjoyed and partook in. Big shout out to all of you at RioCan as well. We're
going to jump. I saw a question from Sonia. Sonia is, again, another very, very close friend of the REC's, entrusted us in doing an investment, an income property. And so she had a question that is kind of not what we were talking about, but we speak in tangents. You guys know that about all of us. So I love going all over the place. She asks thoughts on investing in thoughts on the opportunities and the potential of the Durham region. First and foremost with the Durham region, I've been watching that, and Simos has been watching this for 17 years. We remember, and there's probably people watching right now that purchased homes and condos and all that kind of stuff in the Durham region for less than $300,000 like a decade ago. We were doing $275,000 duplexes like crazy in Durham.
Well, Durham is the number 1 performing geographical region of the GTA.
Well, 2 years ago, like 35% or something like that.
Something extremely dumb, just like that.
Yeah.
Meaning it's created literally an entire generation of millionaires in less than 3 years.
Yeah. And why do you think that is? What's your thoughts on that, buddy?
So
Someone says that ship has sailed.
that ship has not sailed.
I don't think it has, but I get what you're saying.
Yes.
Who was this? Adam Raposo. What's up, Anna? The better half of the Raposo family. I love you, Art. But I don't think the ship has sailed. But go, Seamus, you're talking about.
It's definitely listen. Durham, and will continue to grow at this frantic pace, is still the apex of affordability on the east side of Toronto. What does that mean? That means as East York became a 2-bedroom wartime bungalow became $1.2 million, a wartime 2-bedroom bungalow at St. Clair and what have you in East York is $1.2 million.
Yeah.
There is not much more to say. That person took their $1.2 million and bought a $600,000, 3,000 square foot home. It happened again. Now, the 3,000 square foot homes in Durham are appreciating because they're more scarce. The prices here are rising. The exact intensification and move up and out effect happened in Durham, and it will continue to happen for as long as Toronto cannot get out of its own way.
It's been It's what we've been saying again for 17 years.
Now at Durham Live and out of the casino and had the infrastructure.
Yes, it's
a
sound like a broken record. And I know we sound like a broken record because real estate is very easy to see what's going to happen with values because just look at history. And what we've been saying for 17 years is that buyers and tenants will always drive till they qualify. And so when you start to see Toronto at your 1.2s and all that, then you saw Pickering and Ajax. I always remember it as POW. Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa. Okay? Pickering's values then started to go above $1 million. Then what happened? Well, then Ajax did that. And then Whitby did that.
Well, Whitby is the highest of all three.
Okay.
Of all four, excuse me.
Yeah, because I think Whitby just people feel like it's the nicer one out of them all.
Right.
I don't know, right? They all have access to the GO Transit, so that's the
they're on the
number.
401.
But guess what's next? So if we just follow that trajectory or follow that geographical map there, it's easy to know that's Bowmanville. And then I don't know what east of Bowmanville. To be honest with you, I don't go that far personally. Is it Clarington or whatever? And then, if someone might say, well, is this going to go to Kingston? The answer is yes. This is going to Kingston. Kingston's still...
Why does anybody talk about Ottawa that's doubled in the last 5 years?
Yeah, for sure.
So you think Ottawa affects Kingston?
Yeah.
Toronto doesn't affect Kingston? Of course they do.
Yeah.
These are all
now personally.
Connected up.
Personally, I just, I've had 10 projects on our desk here for Kingston. I just don't think it's time yet. You can still make more money coming closer to the city. You don't need to go that far out. But in 10 years, 7 years, I have a feeling we're going to be able to. And the cool thing is that we record all these brunches. We're going to be able to go back and say, oh my God, look what happened to Kingston. Look what happened to Clarington. But Bowmanville's next. That's what's happening. But to really answer your question, Sonia, the thoughts on Durham, here's our opinion. And I know I can speak to Simos, speak for Simos on, this, is that it's still a great time to buy in Durham. And I'll tell you why. Because we know that values are still going to go up. In 10 years, for sure, history being our teacher, values are going to double. I'm not looking at a 30-year window. I'm not looking at a 40-year window. I'm looking at a 100-year window. On average, every decade in the GTA, values have always doubled. So if you buy yourself an $800,000 home right now in Whitby or Oshawa, it is going to be worth $1.6 million, give or take $50,000, $75,000 in 10 years. It might take the 11th year for that to happen because we ran into some type of government intervention. Knock on wood, not another pandemic, but even we know what happened with the pandemic in the past year. So if you can find a property, Sonia, if you're living there, go crazy, go nuts. You got to live where you want your amenities and all that kind of stuff. As an investment property, I can tell you, if you find something in Durham, buy it as long as you have a long-term window. Don't Don't buy something that you're going to need to or want to flip in a year, because then we can't tell you that you're going to make money, because you might not. I don't know. It's a lot of speculation. We spoke about the casino. Go long tail with this and buy something for 10 years. You will make money.
So Durham specifically, only because we're so involved in it. 3.5, 4 years ago, we had, I don't know, an entire class of investors. Let's call, this is the time we started working with Anna, with Art, Sue, Mike, all that entire class of investors in the last kind of 5 years. Where I know Sue and Mike had bought 11 properties, 11 on the south side of Pickering.
Yes.
Those were bought because I did half the deals, but I was still on the street at the time doing deals at $625, $630, $675. We paid up to $725 for one. Those are trading at over $1 million, every single one of them right now. Functional, legal duplexes.
I think usually we always pick on Carlton and Mary, specifically Carlton, never really Mary.
We just picked up a.
Did they? It's done? Oh, yes. Congratulations. They bought something at 700,000, I believe, 725-ish 2 years ago, and it's going to hit the market for over 9. Right? I could be wrong and if you're on here, Carlton, please correct me, because I could be slightly off. I've had 2.5 mimosas right now.
1.5, Jas.
Was it 1.5? See, now it's really how do you say paisan in your language, right?
Adrafe.
Adrafe? Yeah. Well, we have one of your Adrafes here, Dimitri, who says, any thoughts on York region and people moving north? Any projects coming north? I've been on the phone with you talking about a project possibly coming up north that I'm very excited about.
Why don't I tease a little bit about?
Go. Tease a little bit.
I'll tease a little bit.
Gotta wait till January, though.
Late Jan.
Yeah.
And into March, we're going to have 2 to 3. Nothing that's absolutely mind-boggling right now. There's a couple of things that we're working on. In December, there might be a mid-cycle with very favorable deposits.
Yeah.
That's mid-December. We'll let you know if it comes together. Meaning if we can negotiate enough units with enough incentives.
Yeah.
Number one. Going up north, there's definitely things happening up north. You have to understand, everybody here has to understand, when you go into condominium ownership in smaller markets, it's either going to be a massive success or the biggest bust in the world. So that's not a risk that we're willing to take with other people's money. So we're doing our due diligence, meaning when Keswick says they're going to do a condo, what does that mean? Can Keswick support a condo?
Sorry, Singles, I have to say, because Carlton Dad's the best. Put him up, put up his messaging. He was like, Jas, it was 530,000 less than 2 years ago, and maybe selling for 900.
We love you, Carlton.
So I was only off by $200,000.
So that's a total $400,000.
Yeah. So
Carlton, stop boasting about all the money you're making.
370 grand.
It's unbecoming, Carlton.
Back to you, Sonia. Back to Sonia. You picked that up for $900,000. I know it sounds like, oh my God, it's $900,000. Even if you had to put in $150 a month, this is my true opinion on investing, guys. So I know it might go against what other people say as fundamentals, and that's okay with each to their own. But if I can pick up a property and I'm only putting in $200 a month,
$2,400 a year, and making
and I have an asset of $900,000, I can tell you that this brunch cost us $200. You know what I mean? And so we really need to put that into perspective. So Sonia, go crazy, reach out to us. I mean, out of our 54 agents, 21 of them live or do all their business in the Durham region, 21 of them. And I know exactly who you should be working with. She is the rock star of rock stars in the Durham region, and Simos and Marlene, all that. Marlene. She will take you around, very patient, works the numbers, knows all that kind of stuff.
We also have the West Group. Nick West is previous TD analyst, mortgage broker. Christina is a beast of income properties, and Ashley, well, not much to say. Anyways, we have superstars out there. What I wanted to say is this.
York region.
Before York region, I forgot to say something. We talked about Durham, and it has a ship sailed, as Anna said, and the answer is no, and it hasn't. Yes, they've gone up. There's a higher cost of entry, but we're not even near it. The thing about us is we take this, and I'm just going to come out and say, we take this shit very seriously. I understand. However,
I can never stop.
Last January, the very first project of the year It took us 3.5 months to put it together. And it was in Bowmanville. We've never talked about this before. But last year, a year ago, in a month, it's going to be a year ago exactly. The market has gone up almost 33% in 1 year. Why do you think we went with Bowmanville? Because people are like, Bowmanville? And we're like, yeah, Bowmanville. Because we see the trend, we see what's happening. And the way we see it is with data. Not because we're the smartest, but because we have the smartest partners. Inside the office that we're sitting today, 2 days ago exactly, and we're going to be analyzing it after this brunch is done, we have the brand new Urbanation report written by the absolute institution in this province of who is looking at new construction numbers, cost of construction, where it's going, who's buying what, meaning which developers are buying where. If I see Greybrook, because so many people know Greybrook, if Greybrook is buying in Tottenham, you don't think something's going on? You don't think Tottenham is going to go on the up? They just placed $100 million or $200 million there. Follow the smarter people than you.
Follow the big money.
Follow the smart money.
Yeah.
So us, we just don't think we're that smart. We just genuinely don't.
Speak for yourself.
I'll speak for myself. I am the biggest idiot in the city. So with that being said, I rely upon the smart people, the smarter people that need to make decisions. And I take the average. If I see Great Golf, if I see Tribute, if I see Greybrook, and I see Tridel making moves in Scarborough, we blew out Highland Commons in 48 hours.
That was
Altry.
Right? Yeah.
That was Altry, which is the Mandelbaum family, one of the grandchildren of the Mandelbaum family of the H&R. That was shout out to Kara Hirsch for, again, connecting some of our insiders and our team members for themselves to buy units at a place where 300 units came to market and they got 2,000 worksheets. But why is it happening? Because the land there still makes sense. They're going to be able to sell at a price where people can afford it. Downtown, the average unit is coming out at $1,500 a foot. It's not for me and you, bro.
Yeah. As an investor.
So when we did Bowmanville last year, and people were looking at us, really? And we said, trust us. This is what we know. This is Caitlin Corporation, Bill Carroll. There's a reason he's doing it.
Yeah.
Foresight. So you bought in the first of a master plan community.
Well, we're
first.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's the ticket usually for us when you get into that first.
By the time Bill is done the fourth phase, our guys would have made literally $300-400 a foot. Mark my words. In 5 years from today.
Yeah. No,
mark my words.
I mean, there was 35 insiders that got into that project on a cold January.
That's right.
After morning, because we did that on a brunch.
Yeah,
that was on a brunch. Couple of things.
Big shout out, Bill. Big shout out, Hunter. Thank you for allowing us into your development. And thank you. Yes, they sure did.
They did.
Thank you on behalf of all of our insiders as well. I know you guys are always watching. So thanks.
Okay, so we have 58 people right now that are watching. We've had people come and go. There's two things that I really wanted to touch on. Next year, 2022, is going to be the year of you here at REC. Let me explain. We want to only reverse engineer what you are looking for from a real estate firm and a company. And two, obviously, you see us as the two talking heads, but there's a team of 54 agents and 11 support staff that work tirelessly every single day to bring value, to bring content, to bring education. And so we have coined 2022 to be the year of you here at REC Canada, but we need your help. There's 58 people right now. Just stick with me for the next 32 seconds. Please send an email to info@reccanada.com. info@reccanada.com. Right now, if you're watching on your phone, you could keep this running and you can very easily just open up your email on your phone. If you're watching on your computer, open up another browser and just open up your email app and send an email to info@reccanada.com. In the subject line, please, I'm expecting to get 59 emails now in the next 10 minutes. Do it now. Do it now, because then, 12 o'clock is going to happen, and then Sunday is going to happen in your life. Do this right now. Take the 30 seconds that it's going to take you to do. Send an email to info@reccanada.com. In the subject line, all we want you to write is what you're looking for from us. What does that mean? Well, we only want to hear about new projects. Put that in the subject line. We want to hear about new projects and multiplexes. Put that in the subject line. We want you guys to talk more about X. We want opportunities in Hamilton. Put that in the subject line. We want access to opportunities in Nova Scotia. Put that in the subject line, because what we're going to be doing a lot more of next year is only sending you content for what you ask for, which means that if we don't get these emails, you might get emails that you don't really want. So why are we wasting
Just so you
your
know,
time?
the only people who hate spam more than you do is us.
Is us.
So, which is why we don't send emails. We send 2 a month.
Yes.
To those who have double tapped, liked, and wanted the 2 emails.
Yeah. What do you call that stuff, Stephen? Double opt-in and stuff like that. Yeah. So we want to really, really make this slick for you. It's going to be the year of you. If you want performas, put that in the subject line. If you want specific opportunities, because I think that's what most people would want, because like Jas, CMOS, REC, how do we make money in real estate, which is through opportunities? Just put more opportunities. Put whatever you need. Put 7 things in the subject line. This way, we only send you emails moving forward of stuff that you want. We are expecting, if we've ever brought you any value, an ounce of value, this is our ask of you today. Our ask of you today is to send an email to info@reccanada.com so we can help make 2022 the year of you. Number 2, really quickly, to have some fun, jump over to Instagram for 30 seconds. Stephen, just put my profile in there. And we're doing a fun little puzzle for investors specifically. I'm going to give you a hint to one of the answers because you guys are actually watching live. Send the email first. Then go to Instagram, and I'm going to give you one of the answers. There's probably 8, 9 questions there that need to be answered, but I'm going to give you one of the answers right now, so at least you got rewarded for watching live today. Bear with me. I got 17 apps open here, CMOS. Okay, one of the answers is...
Why don't you ask me a question? Test my knowledge.
Test your knowledge? Okay, that's a great one, Simos. Okay.
And if I win, you're paying, not us paying.
Okay, deal.
I'm not going to pay myself.
Deal. Okay, so I'm going to test Simos right now. There's you call this a crossword puzzle, or it's a crossword puzzle?
Yeah.
It's a crossword puzzle. Is the contest? We're going to randomly pick on Sunday night. We're going to randomly pick 5 winners. I think I put maybe like $50 to gift cards or something each person.
Yeah.
You know, I was originally taking Simos's money, but I guess if he gets this question right, he's going to help you for. Let's go, Simo. So this is the number 4 across. Number 4 across answer. The answer to this question: what is the term for number of years to repay a full mortgage? So that's the definition. What's the answer? Number 4.
I'm going to slap this
across.
Amortization, bro.
Say it again.
Amortization.
There you go. That is the answer.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Number 4 across the answer.
Hey, one more.
Amortizing.
Give me one more.
Am I going to give these people live another? We're really giving them all the answers here, Simos.
I got your back, people.
One more because Simos is being nice. All right, Simos. 3 across. 3 across.
3 across.
An estimate of property's market value. What is that called? An estimate of a property's value.
Well, I'm going to hit you with 2. It's either appraisal.
No, that's it. Ding, 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 ding.
Or valuation.
No, it is appraisal. We'll give them the answer. We gave them the 2 A's. We gave them double A's. You can thank Simos for helping you out there. There's another 6 or 7 that you need to answer. We're going to have some fun today, but please, all joking aside, make sure to send that email. That is by far the most important thing you can do. You don't need to do the Instagram stuff. We would have some fun with you, and you could win, $50 that you can give away to somebody else. But really, the sending of the email to info@reccanada.com for us to help you make 2022 the year of you. Just put in exactly what you're looking for in terms of emails and content and what specific opportunities. We're expecting 59 emails in the next 10 minutes to come through. I'm going to say Have an awesome weekend. We're going to, next time we speak, it will be the beautiful, beautiful month of December. We do this every other week. So we have like maybe 2 left. It's going to be a funny schedule in December.
I think we do one. We do the Christmas sweater one.
So you go that far out.
There is a lot of stuff happening.
Sure. So look, we will. The one email that you will definitely get is to notify you the next brunch. We wanted to have a little bit of fun today, hence why we had a couple of mimosas. Hopefully you did at home. Stay safe here in Toronto. It's a little chilly, but it's a beautiful day to get outside.
Well, I'm gonna tell them to prep right now. Get your Christmas sweaters. Maybe we'll bring some people online. Maybe we'll ask for pictures.
I love that.
But we're going to get your ugly Christmas sweaters because it's going to be fun. We're going to bring a crazy guest. God only knows who. So maybe somebody who's actually crazy. But get your sweaters. I'm telling you right now, let's make it special. Let's make a crazy year end.
I love it.
I love it.
I'm just reading some of the messages here. People love us. That's great. We love you guys even more. It's really, really just amazing. And we're so blessed that we get to do this. We truly are living in our hobbies. I think most of you guys know that we like to have a lot of fun and we like to try to help people create wealth. We're not trying to make people rich. It's and definitely not trying to make people rich quickly. That's just not the way that Simos and I were brought up. It's not our families. That's not how they made money. It was nice and slow, truly from the ground up. And we're trying to help people build wealth, but we like to do it in our fun and entertaining way. But you guys allow us to do that. If you guys weren't here, I mean, we'd be speaking to ourselves, which we're probably crazy enough to do. Anyways,
you've already been way too long.
But it's nice to have you. Go.
You went too long. You gave way too much love. Love you. Be well. Enjoy the weekend. See you next time.
Info@reccanada.com.
Ugly sweaters.
Let us know.
Ugly sweaters. Ugly sweaters.